I picked up this video card for my daughter's new system, but before I started building the system, I asked the community on if you wanted me to review it, and apparently 72% of you wanted me to. So let's find out if the RX 6600 XT Red Devil is any good. What's up everyone, Eric here and welcome to Hardware for Gamers. For those of you who are new to the channel, I test and review PC cases, CPU coolers, PC case fans, and video cards. Sorry if my voice is a bit shot. We had a hockey tournament on the weekend and my voice hasn't fully recovered. So yeah, it might sound a bit weird. Now before I get on to the overview, to have full disclosure, I did buy this video card myself, as I said in the intro, from Amazon Warehouse for 380 Canadian dollars or around 280 USD. So as always, I'll start off with a quick overview. There is just one model of the RX 6600 XT Red Devil, but PowerColor does also have an RX 6600 XT Hellhound and Fighter. Now the specs of the RX 6600 XT Red Devil: there is an OC mode with a boost clock of 2607 megahertz and a game clock of 2428 megahertz. And then there's the standard or the silent mode that would have a boost clock of 2593 and a game clock of 2382. It is an RX 6600 XT, so it does have 2048 stream processors and has a memory clock of 16 gigabits per second. It has 8 gigs of GDDR6 memory. The size of the card is 251 millimeters long by 133 millimeters wide by 53.6 millimeters deep. PowerColor recommends a 600 watt power supply, and it does have 2 power connectors, an 8-pin and a 6-pin. That's it for the overview, so on to the game testing. If you do have any questions on how I test the video cards, please watch my video card testing methodology video. There'll be a card along the top, and I'll also have it linked in the description. Now, just so everyone knows, I did only test with the Red Devil OC mode BIOS because there is the switch. So I only use the one BIOS for all the game testing. I'm just going to put up the charts for all 13 games for both 1080 and 1440p, and then I'll come back and talk. So when comparing the average FPS of the 6600 XT to the 6650 XT, they are pretty much the same, with the exception that the 6650 XT does get a small boost to both Destiny 2 and PUBG at 1080p. And again, the 6650 does get a slight boost at 1440p in Apex Legends and again PUBG. So just as long as there isn't a huge price difference between these cards, it doesn't really matter which one you go with because the stock gaming performance is pretty much the same between the two of them. And that's all I got for the game testing, but before I move on to the power consumption and temperature charts, if you do like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because it does help a lot. Plus, if you appreciate all the testing I'm doing here, then please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Doing so will help me make more videos like this one. A link is in the description. So I'm going to quickly go over the power consumption chart since there's really not too much going on here. This 6600 XT uses the same number of watts as the 6650 XT Eagle does when both cards are using their stock settings. Moving on to the fans, the auto fan profile on this card is having the fans spin pretty much as slow as they possibly can. For the sound normalized temperature testing, the RPM of the fans was set to 2210. And for the max RPM temperature testing, the RPM of the fans was at around 3200. Now for the temperature charts, the auto fan profile had the dBA max out at 32.7, and that had the average edge temperature being 65.2 C, with the average memory temperature being 65.8 C, and the average hotspot temperature being 81.4 C. So in my opinion, the auto fan profile does seem to be just about right, which is actually saying a fair bit on how over-engineered this cooler actually is. Moving on to the sound normalized temperature testing. So with the fans set to 40 dBA, the average edge temperature was 52.7 C, with the average memory temperature being 52.5 C, and the average hotspot temperature being 68.3 C. Then with the fans maxed out, the average edge temperature was 48.6 C, with the average memory temperature being 47.9 C, and the average hotspot temperature being only 64.2 C. Now this did have the dBA at 52.3 C, which is quite loud, but as you can see in my testing, you really don't need to run the fans anywhere near max speed to have the temperatures being perfectly fine. So what do I think of PowerColor's RX 6600 XT Red Devil? This card is pretty much exactly what I expected and was wanting. An over-engineered cooler with some okay fans. So it did perform very well thermally, and its gaming performance is, well, an RX 6600 XT. So a pretty good option for high refresh rate 1080p and 1440p gaming. Now, as I said before, I did get this from Amazon Warehouse, so it was used or renewed, meaning it didn't come in the original or an original box. It may be the original inside of the box, it just is without the sleeve, but I'm not really sure on that. And that's how I was able to find it and get it for a pretty okay price, because like MSRP of this would have had it well over 500 Canadian. Now this also means that I didn't get the extras that are supposed to come with it, primarily the RGB sync cable, but I was able to use the Red Devil RGB software to get the RGB lights working. So all in all, I guess I don't really care that I'm missing the RGB sync cable. Something I didn't really go over before was the BIOS switch and testing the silent or the standard BIOS. I didn't do this because the OC mode BIOS had the fan spinning at like the minimum speed possible. So I just didn't really see a point in trying to have them downclock the GPU on it to then try to test it on that. It didn't really make any sense to me on testing it twice when the fans were spinning so slow to begin with. If that makes sense to you, good, because that's what made sense to me. So yeah, if you can actually find one of these used or clearance or whatever for a pretty good price, it makes sense, at least to me. Like what I got here from my daughter, it's going to be more than enough for years to come. Right now she's on a 590, so this is going to be a huge step up for her. But yeah, that's all I got for this one. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're still watching and you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. There's also the HFG Discord server. It is completely free to join. All you need to do is agree to the server rules, and then you get to view all of my charts. A link is in the description. There is also Patreon if you'd like to support the channel directly. Again, a link is in the description. You may want to check out this video here. It would probably be along the same lines of the video you just watched. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.